fundamental point the public needs to understand is that it is their ocean, right? Under UN law, the sea belongs to everybody. And what has been happening for the last 100 years on an unprecedented scale is that groups of individuals and companies have been pillaging and destroying their common property.
The problem that we're trying to address is overfishing. We're trying to protect areas of the ocean so that there is no fishing within certain areas so that the fish have an opportunity to come back to life.
What we are trying to get people to understand is that it is their right to insist on marine reserves, to insist on the healthy management of the oceans, because it's their fish. We made the end of the line, and the impact that film had on consumers and politicians alike made us realize there was a desire to achieve results. And we turned the film into a campaign to actually create the marine reserves we talked about and showed in the film.
When you've seen the film, you see that it's a very hopeful ending in the sense that this is a really achievable solution. This is, we always talk about this is the biggest solvable problem in the world. So it gave us hope that actually we could communicate there was a problem, but we could also offer people the solution, which is to create marine reserves.
The difference between this and other problems is that actually it is relatively simple to solve.
Just 1% of the world's oceans is protected right now from fishing. We are targeting 10% in 10 years. And we think that with 100 million euros, you could go quite a long way to achieving that, if not all the way.
It doesn't matter where you protect it, it just needs protecting. And I think that the more you can do, the more it will start to create a snowball effect, that people will start realizing and seeing the benefits of it. Because one of the great things about marine reserves is you see the benefits incredibly quickly.
Maybe in 10 years' time, there'll be marine reserves everywhere and people will be a bit more, judgmental about where they go, and there might be different criteria, but right now it's get what you can and protect it. Some really big NGOs spent a decade building Chagos as a project and got it to the point where it was ready to be done, and they couldn't afford it because they couldn't sell the story of why it was important. And they then called us and said, this is sitting here and it needs funding and it's the biggest opportunity in the world. And we had the film, which tells the problem, and we took the film to a visionary founder, Ernesto, and his family and his sister, and we showed it to them, and they funded Chagos. So, it was just that gap between all the hard work everybody else had done and the inability to communicate the problem.
What is the tuna that you serve, and how is it caught?
So, Fish to Fork was how do we educate consumers to ask restaurants and to demand restaurants to serve sustainable fish. That was one issue that was very, very important in the film. And the other issue was to create marine reserves.
The primary thing that Fish to Fork does is tell you if a restaurant is serving the right kind of fish. That is its primary goal, and you know that if you go to this restaurant, you're not going to be served the fish you shouldn't eat.
Even just asking the question, it's amazing. The response you get to asking, very, very established restaurants, what's your fish sourcing policy? Do you serve sustainable fish? That so many of them don't have a clue what we're talking about.
The process itself is much more complicated than we first thought, and it's actually a very rigorous and scientific thing. It's a 6-page document you have to fill out, and just the act of filling that out has caused numerous restaurants to be like, oh my God, we're not on top of our fish sourcing policy. We don't even have a fish sourcing policy. This is one of the few things you can do in philanthropy and know you're getting a measured result.
For $1 billion, you could protect 20% of the ocean. $1 billion. And if you think of what's happened with the current banking crisis, the amount of money being wasted by governments, $1 billion is not a lot of money.
Something like 2 billion people depend on fish for protein every day, and those are the people who are going to starve.
It is absolutely fundamental for life on the planet that we have a healthy ocean.
It's just a winner. I mean, there's no downside to saving fish.
Money is what is really needed here, and it can make a massive difference to not only just protecting the ocean, but protecting our planet.